We're coming, and we ain't backing down.
We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror.
Everybody just do your job. You understand that?
Hey, will you shut up?
I'm bitterly disappointed with the officiating today.
Guys being dudes.
And they run through our like through a tin horn, man.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, host emeritus Stephen Godfrey, who's with us in the house this week. And thank you, Richard Johnson. Fellas, we're podcasting from the future this week because we're doing this recording actually on Tuesday afternoon. The tasting menu comes out Wednesday. We very rarely record this a day in advance, but that means that MAC games will have already happened between the time that we're recording this and the time the episode comes out on Wednesday. But I do want to say well done to the Ohio Bobcats, who beat UMass by 46 points last night.
So mean. And probably true. So mean and absolutely, yeah, you can make that prediction. 47.
I'm not changing it.
Yeah, 47 on the nose. Somebody missed an extra point or two, yeah.
Yep, that's what it's going to be.
Richard, throw out a number real fast.
I'll give you 31.
I will say it's 35, and we'll figure out. Is it closest to the pin without going over? Is that how we're going to do this?
Yeah. Is that showcase rules? Price.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. One of us is a genius.
This is the week 13 tasting menu. I don't think the three of us have done a tasting menu together in a long time. It's good to have you back with us, Steven. Yeah.
Welcome back.
We've got Wednesday night action. So as we record this, there are 5 two-loss teams in the MAC. 3 of them are playing on Wednesday night. These are games involving Central Michigan at Kent State and Miami at Buffalo. The MAC, I want to kind of shout out for this, has managed to create an unholy standings mess without expanding to a gross number of teams. They've just done this one the old-fashioned way, and by doing away with divisions. This conference is a mess in a more complementary way than, for instance, the ACC or the Big 12, where I'm just looking at this and thinking, y'all got too many teams. We shouldn't be doing business this way. The MAC at least came by it, honestly.
Yeah. They just eliminated divisions like everyone else and did well. Yeah. I'm going to try not to be super morbid talking about the MAC, but yeah, the entire sport of football has robbed them of talent and relevance. And so now they're all about in the same middle together, unfortunately.
There are only 5 MAC teams that are currently more than a game out of second in the loss column. So,
wow,
upward mobility, parity. Actually, other than UMass, this league does not really have terrible teams this year. Akron and Kent State have a combined 8 wins. I don't think there have been a ton of seasons where Akron and Kent State have had a combined 8 wins. But yeah, this is a league where nobody currently is too terribly far from the top. Like we said, we already know from the future what happened on Tuesday, but I think of these games that's happening on Wednesday night, if you're looking for football to watch, I think the Miami of Ohio Redhawks against the Buffalo Bulls, the University at Buffalo Bulls, probably your best option for Wednesday night action. On Thursday night, we got one college football game. It's Louisiana at Arkansas State. Arkansas State is still alive in the Sun Belt race. They got a chance. The Sun Belt West is kind of a mess at the moment because of a Southern Miss loss last week. Godfrey, is Butch Jones just going to be in that job until he dies?
Maybe. I off the top of my head, I am not familiar with the terms of the contract.
Well, it's just that he's done like a pretty quiet, nice rebuild there. He's in his 5th year there.
Yeah.
And he's done a nice rebuild, but not so nice that I think anyone would really be excited about hiring Butch Jones, which is an ingredient for a Frank Solich run.
Are we adding new context to the fact that if you're even like fair to Midland good in the MAC, that's like, you know, the old Gene Chizik, well, he won 5 games at Iowa State, so he's perfect for it. Like he could do anything at Auburn. I don't know. I think he likes it there. I think that I think he would, because of the way Tennessee ended, probably want to try and go out on more of like a division championship energy, or sorry, not division champ. I mean, conference championship. Division champions don't exist anymore. They do in the Sun Belt, but
just in the Sun Belt. Yeah.
Well, I meant to say conference champion. Yeah, I think that like, where you going, by the way, where you going? We got to talk about that. Like,
that's a very good point.
Yeah. I mean, is Cincinnati opening again? I'm serious. Like, you know, we would have to have a pretty frank discussion about the place that he would go to.
We'll talk about Cincinnati later in this episode. Intrigued by them this week, despite recent events. Richard, what's the NFL game on Thursday? That's your sport.
That is true. Let me look that up. Dude,
Wow, he doesn't even know.
Oh, Texans, Bills. Texans, Bills. So I need Josh Allen to continue to give the Texans more losses so that it helps the Jags in the division. So I will be a Bills fan on Thursday night because the Jags are within spitting distance here of the playoffs. They will be ending the Colts' little magical run here in a couple of weeks when they finally face each other.
Friday night, Florida State at NC State. Where are we at with Dave Doeren? Fan base hates him, but he's backed into a corner and he's not going to go quietly in tonight. Is that sort of the status here?
This is where I had James Franklin. I was like, imagine James Franklin and Raleigh. Like that's an energy match, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. I know that NC State fans are desperate to be done with this en masse, but I mean, the thing is, they could still win 7 games. They're backed into a corner the other week, and they go and they beat up on Georgia Tech. Yeah. And I actually have a little curiosity about Dave Doeren in this spot. They're underdogs. I'm actually not going to dad water home dog of the week them because I don't feel that good about it.
Okay.
But playing a team that's had some quarterback run defense troubles the last month and a half from Florida State, and you got CJ Bailey back there, plus Hollywood Smothers. I don't know. This is actually bordering on an anxiety bowl, though. I won't steal your thunder, Godfrey, and put the label on it, but bordering.
I just don't. Yeah, this is a really good question for the people at NC State. Are we content? Surely we're not content, right? Surely we can find some money to make this all like wrap up. Because
even before the season, I was hearing like that's a retirement candidate.
Correct, but now he has said that ain't happening. So it's going to be an encouraged retirement, right?
Please retire.
They might be pretty good in basketball this year, by the way. Will Wade, good recruits.
I hope so.
Will Wade,
my buddy.
Yeah, they might be. So I don't know. Maybe that adds to their contentment.
He's sitting on the moral decline of the United States.
Also Friday night, speaking of the moral decline of the United States, UNLV hosts Hawaii in Las Vegas. Hawaii's got a chance to win 9 games this year.
That's right.
Maybe 10 if they could win out in a bowl, which I think actually this team deserves eternally more attention than everyone gives them, even us, who I think are more on the talking about the G5 side of the spectrum than most of our colleagues in college football media.
Sorry, who called 6 wins in August? Just so we're clear, who told you it was coming from the Bows?
That might wind up being 33% or 40% light, depending on what they do in the next couple of weeks. They're good. They're an interesting story team. Like they just have interesting players. Their kicker, Kansei Matsuzawa, is 55 of 55.
Yeah, baby. Yeah,
55 of 55 between PATs and field goals this year, including 8 of 8 from 40 plus. He's right there with Tate Sandell, the Oklahoma kicker, who I accidentally called Cole the other day. He might. He really might. These 2 kickers have been by far the best in the sport. This is a barn burner of a Lou Groza award race for those of you who like to follow such things between Matsuzawa and Sandell. This guy, I think, taught himself how to kick field goals on YouTube, and he's the best player on Hawaii now. They got some good wide receivers. So this is a good Friday nighter. Where are we at on Dan Mullen, by the way?
He had the little talking piece a while back that he wasn't going anywhere.
Said it pretty explicitly.
God, dude, that feels like a month and a half ago right now.
I think it was. I think it was actually a month and a half ago.
It's been a long carousel season this year.
I
might be going 10-2 this year in this job.
I'm thinking, hang on.
No great wins, but
no, I'm thinking of where to place him right now. How about NC State? Let's move along.
Not bad. Also happening Friday. Those are the couple of games on Friday night. I would say another huge college football event on Friday is the Black Friday sale at Home Field Apparel. That's right, 30% off for Black Friday, a week before it is actually Black Friday. I am generally opposed to getting carts ahead of horses with holiday scheduling. I don't want to see your Christmas lights before Black Friday or after January 1st. I don't think you should be having pumpkin ice cream before like October 21st or wearing visors more than 10 days before the Masters. But
never wear a visor.
It's fair. It's fair. If you're in the state of Georgia, I could see it, but only then. But I will make an exception for our pals at Home Field. 30% off starting Friday. Very exciting sale at homefieldapparel.com. Take advantage of it. Saturday in the ACC. So from this point forward, by the way, I've arranged this tasting menu to be conference by conference. So we're going to just talk about games and conferences.
Yeah, and some of this, mea culpa from me. I said a week ago, 2 weeks ago, who the hell knows, that the spiritual SEC SoCon Saturday is not anymore, right? The last couple years, they've sort of tamped it down. They've changed some things, but let me tell you, as is usual, sometimes the great ones can rear back and still give you 102 miles per hour on the black when they really want to. And the SEC is giving you the four-seamer right there, man, and you can't hit it.
I mean, there's Missouri, the Missouri
on QB3 against Brent Venables. I mean, enjoy that.
He might be playing Pribula.
Venables?
Okay. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know yet. There's some burn out of Columbia that Beau Pribula might play this week, but
all right.
We're not. I don't think we're going to know until much later in the week. We'll get to the SEC. Let's do the Atlantic Coast Conference with its complete mess of a search. Miami and Virginia Tech. We talked a lot about James Franklin. The three of us just did on a show that is already available to our subscribers at splitzoneduo.com. It's a great time to subscribe. So we did the James Franklin Virginia Tech stuff over there.
They are going to unveil him at halftime like a fucking Real Madrid center mid signing. It's going to be incredible.
How in everyone's face is he going to be for that Virginia game?
He will be on the broadcast.
Ooh, buddy.
There is not a doubt in my mind. He will at some point in time have a headset on.
Yeah. This game will be, I would anticipate, very bad for them. One of the worst pass protecting lines in the country against Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor just doesn't really work. It's actually the same thing that I thought about South Carolina with A&M last week, and they gave him a run, sort of, for a while. But this is a blocking and tackling situation as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. I want to, probably for the first time, denote this person for this honor. James Franklin, congratulations, because you are this week's Minority Coach of the Week in an interesting schematic spot. Now, Godfrey,
my God.
As you will recall, Godfrey,
I'm so weirded out.
As you will recall, Minority Coach of the Week in an interesting schematic spot is not a portender predictor of schematic success. It's simply taking a minority coach in a certain spot and saying, that's interesting. James Franklin actually gets that this week. And I do want to walk this out a little bit.
Please do.
I legitimately think this is very interesting that James Franklin, with 2 weeks left in the season, gets to take over this job, gets to evaluate these players in competitive games, not just a little bowl game, as somebody who takes over after the season, gets to pal around the suites and the big swingers, which is what he's going to do on Saturday, as he goes up and down the suite level of Lane Stadium, I would imagine, because I'm not actually sure if the Commonwealth Cup is at home. So he gets to do that.
I think it's in Virginia.
Okay. So he will be on the broadcast is my prediction. Obviously he will be unveiled. It is just very interesting to take over a team right now. The way the rev share stuff breaks and the recruiting calendar breaks and the portal stuff, it's very interesting that he's going to be able to get in. One wonders, for instance, if he may have an offensive coordinator by the time this game is played or after it, because one of those potential targets season is over, or will be over, I should say, by the end of the week in Maction at Akron. So,
that person.
Who knows?
I was wondering where you were going with that. That makes
who knows?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I legitimately not just a joke. I do think James Franklin is in a really, really interesting spot here as the now new head coach of an ACC team before even Thanksgiving.
I'll allow it. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it too. I bet it's happened, but I don't remember someone taking a job this early.
I'm sure it's happened, but I don't remember either. I'm sure somebody will tell us.
I remember when Sonny Dykes took SMU. I think he coached their bowl game.
Yeah,
that used to happen. I mean,
like the
David Cutcliffe did that.
The bowl game.
David Cutcliffe did that before I was a freshman at the Christmas before I was a freshman at Ole Miss. I wasn't going to Ole Miss. I was either going to Georgia or Auburn, and he coached Tommy Tuberville's like team and playbook and shit in a loss in the Independence Bowl to Texas Tech.
That's good.
I'm checking the Clay Helton hire November 2nd.
Oh,
so
wow.
November 2nd, Clay Helton was hired by Georgia Southern.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great pull. That's a
and
very
it
good pull.
worked out great.
It's going great. He's got an extension to prove it. Louisville at Southern Methodist. So SMU is in the race here still in the ACC. They would need some stuff to happen. They'd have to win out. They need Virginia Tech to beat UVA. They need Pitt to win one but lose one.
As the practitioner of the potential 4-loss Duke ACC champion, we do need a bar on what in the race actually means with these ACC teams. Or not just ACC, with all these conference races.
Right now, the rule for did you make the tasting menu is do you still have higher than like 1% chance? I think
Which is a problem. That's bad process, I think.
That's not narrowing anything down.
They are still in it, which is interesting because I don't think they're good. They don't have a running game this year with Bashard Smith in the NFL. The defense is good, but not great, same as it's been. They lost to Baylor and TCU teams that are both bad and to Wake Forest. And it just felt like a year where they were going to have a reset and then get back to it next year. But good for them. They're still playing. Every football game is meaningful in its own way, but they're playing that type of meaningful football game in week 13 in what I still think is a decline year for them. Jeff Brom might bench Miller Moss for this game, which would be the second year in a row that a coach has done that with Miller Moss at about this time of the season.
Dude, they are losing that Kentucky game so hard in next week.
Oh, God, that's going to be ugly.
They are losing that Kentucky game so hard.
I was thinking of the rivalry games going into last week that would be like a rough watch, and that one had not occurred to me.
Oh, here's a rivalry game that will be a rough watch. Also, you get on the tasting menu if you are a rivalry game this week, or in many cases you do. Duke
I think anything gets you on the damn list this week.
Thank you, Godfrey. Yeah. We're trying to make it work.
We ain't discriminating. Shit's bad.
This is a tough schedule this week, but sometimes those are the weeks that wind up being the most fun. It happens in a weird way. Duke at North Carolina. This is a classic case of the stoppable force versus the movable object with the North Carolina offense and the Duke defense out there. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's got to either give or not give.
I think you have to hand it to Bill Belichick that this defense has played well since that Clemson debacle.
I know that I've wanted to blame Steve, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna have to fire Steve, and I'm like, that's technically not the problem.
Yeah, like I know they gave up 28 to Wake, but that was a little weird because they had the late timeout, and then Wake punched it in at the buzzer. When they could have just nailed it out and ended the game. So they literally have not actually given up more than 21 points since that Clemson debacle, whenever it was in early October. Also, the statement that he made, Godfrey, last week. That one you do not have to hand it to him, by the way. Where he said
when he talked about how he loves the New York Giants, he just wanted them to know that.
Yeah. He just wanted. I didn't get broken up with. I broke up with her. Is how I read that for sure.
This man is a broken soul. He really is. I'm sorry. Like something once a week just blows my mind. Like that he is the head coach of this program. Dude, John Summerall is going to go somewhere in the SEC. We're going to be talking about this for a long, long time. Sorry.
I'm also still. I think it's a good point you bring up, Godfrey. I don't think I'm used to it yet. Like I think there are, you get used to some of these, right? After a while, and you say, okay, well, that's how it is. I'm not used to this yet. Yeah. Belichick being the head coach of North Carolina. It's still weird.
One would argue that Belichick is not used to it.
Fair.
Doesn't seem to be. Cal at Stanford, another classic ACC rivalry game.
It will be football.
Yeah. Last year, epic ending, by the way, with Fernando Mendoza driving them down the field, winning the game, having the nice post game moment.
He was very emotional.
Never heard from again. There are not many players who have more targets than Jacob DeJesus. I mean, you can get Danny Scudero, you can get a couple players, but at 115 targets, give or take, I mean, this guy is everything for this passing offense with our pal JKS. So we'll see what Stanford has for him.
It's not. Let me go back. It's not going to be a football game, and it doesn't matter at all. Like, this is a great rivalry, even though they're, we can make our we've done our ACC jokes, right? Like it matters. Like I should not be shitty about this one because these are refugees because of realignment. They care a lot about this game. It's just that, like, how much Stanford has anybody watched this season? I mean, you're talking about how long a job search has been open.
Yeah.
And I like, honestly, like, Calgorithm's been sort of played out, but I will say, like, those people show up digitally every week for a woefully inconsistent product that is sometimes entertaining, but just as equal parts maddening. So good for them. I mean, I know, Alex, it's still weird. It is weird.
They have taken advantage. Cal has this year, though, of, to their credit, there are certain teams that haven't done this, taken advantage of the kind of soft schedule rotation that they got this year and made a bowl in a year where I didn't really think they were going to do that. So it's not been a bad coaching job by them.
No.
The Stanford offense is really bad. I heard something from someone in Maryland World the other day, and as a supporter of the Maryland football program, you know who I think would be a great offensive mind to help Stanford's offense get back on track next year? I think Pep Hamilton would be great at Stanford. And I think that they should make an offer he can't refuse and bring him on, probably not as the head man, but I just think, having seen the job that he's done with Malik Washington at Maryland, Stanford would be foolish not to try to get in on this business. Andrew Luck loves him. They'd be foolish not to try to bring him to Palo Alto. They'd be foolish.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a coaching search. Like, no one ever talks about it. Like, which one of Andrew's which one of his buddies is he going to hire?
DeVita Pritchard, come on down.
Correct.
All right. Pitt at Georgia Tech.
That's coaching search info you don't need to paywall.
Pitt at Georgia Tech, which is the main card this week.
How are we feeling? How are we feeling, boss?
College football, which, to be clear, I'm not being condescending about this because it's Pitt and Georgia Tech. I wouldn't do that. I'm being condescending about it because I watched Pitt last week and I've watched Georgia Tech the last 2 weeks. And the fact that this is the biggest game in the sport this week, in the FBS ranks anyway.
Yeah.
Godfrey, I don't even know how it's possible, scheduling wise. We'll get to this game in a second.
It's not great, Bob.
It's actually weird to me that ESPN and Fox would not throw their weight around to make sure that something like this didn't happen. But
it's just too much Pitt in 2 weeks, as far as I'm concerned.
Unbelievable that we are overlooking the game that is on America's Most Watched Network, which is actually the game of the week, which we are doing the main course, brought to you by Modelo on later.
That will be coming later. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about the actual football game here, which is a little bit denigrated by how nothing Pitt had last week against Notre Dame and the fact that Georgia Tech's defense has fallen off a cliff the last 2 weeks. But this still really matters. Tech is winning into the ACC championship game and having their best year in a long time. So this one is just very hard for me to get a read on. And I watch a lot of Pitt football and a bit of Georgia Tech football, and I have a very hard time getting a read on it.
I'm going to go with hyper ugly, slow it down. Georgia Tech wins, like, ugly series of possessions. Triple option style, milking clock. This was always like these two staffs I've heard off the record, like, have the hard nose appreciation for each other.
I
they like to smack. So I expect something ugly. I expect something Ravens Steelersy.
Yeah, this is I feel that in Pat Narduzzi's opinion, Georgia Tech plays the game with honor. I could see how that works.
It's that kind of shit.
Which actually I think is especially stark because Jeff Collins and Narduzzi. I do probably lose track of how many coaches I talk about this with Narduzzi, but that was not a nice relationship between those guys. No. I do this with feels like every other week with Pitt, but
he just did it with Marcus Freeman. Like I do think I think Pitt's going to win this game because I don't think Georgia Tech can stop them enough.
Okay,
and I do think Pitt defensively can win Georgia Tech's game.
Okay,
corners are going to have to tackle. Corners are going to have to tackle.
I can't argue with any of that.
And I also think Godfrey. And I can't imagine what would give me this impression, but I think Pitt's been planning for this game a little bit longer and a little bit more intensely than they planned for the last game.
He sandbagged the shit out of last Saturday, y'all.
That's right. In fact, I think we should dock Notre Dame's playoff resume because Pitt didn't.
Right.
It's actually not a quality win for Notre Dame.
Of course not.
But
no, I'll put it on the line.
You joke. I mean, like you joke, but it's like, like they did everything but start the JV.
But this is what's hard for me to get a read on this game, and it's one of those prisoner of the moment things following the season in real time.
Right.
I understand that Notre Dame is just playing a different sport than Pitt, and there's a great case for just chucking out what we saw last week. And if Pitt hadn't played that game last week, and I saw what I've seen from Pitt's offense otherwise in the last 2 months, and saw what we've seen from Georgia Tech's defense of late, I would agree with Richard. I would say Pitt's going to score in the 40s and win this game. But I also watched the Notre Dame game, and it's just hard to feel good about a team that got dressed down like that.
Yeah, it's all gross.
I know I probably should toss it because it's just a way better team they were playing.
Yeah, it's all gross. Like, I don't really like that. Like, Richard just talked me in. I predicted an ugly, close Georgia Tech win, and then Richard talked me into Pitt. I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Like,
all right. Personally, I hope so.
It's kind of a sicko's ass game in terms of quality. Like, it's gonna be
Where
ruddy.
is it? Where is it? Is it in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a night game. It'll be a big atmosphere. And Tech wins and they're in the ACC championship. Pitt wins and they're a good bet. They've got
big
a very
atmosphere
good shot.
is doing a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech sometimes does this though.
What, the big atmosphere?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it seemed pretty loud in there when they were beating Miami last year, when they were beating Clemson this year. We'll see. I think Georgia Tech fans will probably get up for this game. That's the ACC on Saturday. On Saturday in the Big 12, Kansas State at Utah. Here's a little trivia question for you guys. How many Utah games this year have been decided by a margin of fewer than 24 points in either direction?
I have no idea.
Holy War game they lost. No, because Texas Tech beat the shit out of them in the second half. In the end.
Richard is slowly getting to the answer. One. They've played one game decided by fewer than 24 points because every week it's the same thing. Either Utah physically overmatches a team and kills them, or it's Texas Tech.
Or it's a Texas Tech game, right?
Or the BYU game, which was the one exception to this.
Yeah.
Kansas State's kind of interesting in this spot because physically that's the kind of program that you would credit to be able to muck it up with Utah, but I don't think they're good enough at the finer points of the game this year to actually win this game in Salt Lake.
We're gonna have some conversations about K-State when the season's over.
Mm-hmm.
Some evaluation going on, my friends.
Really? That's very interesting.
No, I don't. I mean, some people definitely want to figure out what went wrong there for sure. This was a big year for them.
Yes, in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
BYU at Cincinnati.
Does Cincy have it in them to spoil the BYU party that every week we say is going to get spoiled and has yet to be spoiled?
It's been dented by Tech.
Sure. Well, yeah, yes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, can they take another loss before and then knock them out of the Big 12 championship game and effectively the playoff race?
I was highly critical of the Cincinnati run that was going on. They came back to earth. I don't feel like it's going to happen twice. This is me coming to the terms of like they're decent this year. Like Sorsby might have got a little too much hype, but like they are decent. I think we're just going to have good. We're gonna have a crappy BYU Texas Tech rematch. Like it's unfortunately that's not going to be a fun conference championship game.
I'm going the other way on this one.
Okay.
This was a tough week. I'm going to admit it. This was a tough week to pick the Dadwater home dog of the week.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that I loved.
Oh, I love this one.
I did not see anything that I loved, but Cincinnati, which is about a 2.5 point underdog at home. It's because they've lost 2 games in a row and not looked good doing it. But BYU's defense heavily reliant on creating big negative plays, sacks, picks, and that is the thing that Brendan Sorsby has been excellent at staying out of this year. So I think BYU drags him into a fight, and it's a night game at Nippert Stadium. Nippert Stadium actually gets really loud when they're up for it. It's a hard road environment.
Yeah.
It just feels like it would be very Scott Satterfield to do something here that would make him harder to eventually fire, like a bunch of Cincinnati fans want.
Yeah. That's a good point too.
He's just he's a pain in the
unkillable.
ass. So yeah. So
yeah, I'm in.
That's
I'm
it.
fully.
All right, yeah, sure.
What our home dog of the week, Godfrey. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we are 7-4 picking these straight up. We would be 11-0 if it was against the spread, but that's not. It's not a spread segment. It's not sponsored by a sportsbook. So
Godfrey, yeah, that's
straight
the
up.
thing that I think. Yeah, because you haven't really been a part of this. I do think that's the thing that we have to impress upon you. This is not about the spreads at all. Even though,
you just got to pick the dog.
Right, but even though we are 11-0 against the spread, this is not about the spread.
But in this case, it's a 2.5.
Really feel like the lady doth protest too much here. Okay, yeah, I got you.
So Cincinnati, Dabwater home dog of the week this week. Thank you so much to Dabwater, a great tasting tequila water with 4 all natural ingredients, no sugar, no carbonation, no carbs, and no gluten for that matter. They're the presenting sponsors of the Sunday Hurry Up, and we've been just delighted to have them in the mix with us this season all year long. Thanks a lot to Dadwater. Arizona State at Colorado. Arizona State still vaguely alive in the Big 12 race with Jeff Sims at quarterback and no Jordan Tyson.
Don't know why this is on here.
I just
like that. Like again, I don't know why this is on here.
All right.
Arizona State is stringing together kind of an odd but good end of the season. Like Dillingham is a name for jobs. Their best players are not playing, and they're still hanging in the fight. I'm impressed by that. I think in a time of everyone complaining about how college football players, don't care about their mercenaries and it's the end of the year and everyone just wants to be done. It's, they're out here fighting.
No,
Jeff
we
Sims
talked
in his
about
sixth
it.
year.
We talked about it on Sunday. Like they deserve a ton of credit for how they've been able to handle this this stretch run when it's been absolutely wretched. It's not just that they've had the adversity that they've had on the field with injuries, etc. It's that they are so far, like it's fallen so far from overtime against Texas to this.
Yes, but I think that's just good leadership. I am really high on Dillingham, which is why the Florida State silence feels telling.
That's interesting. Dillingham gave an interesting press conference the other day where he was trying to raise funds and get people into to Arizona State NIL. And he said, if you're a restaurant around here, I don't understand why you wouldn't have a food item named after an Arizona State football player. It's $500 or $1,000 a month. And it made me think that I was in Old Town Scottsdale for one afternoon for work earlier this football season. And I almost ordered like a Jordan Tyson burger or something. I didn't order it, but
why not?
If there's any restaurant in Scottsdale or Phoenix that does not have a Sam Levitt chicken wing, why don't you?
Why didn't you order the burger? You're burying the lead here.
Yeah, what the hell?
What did you order? I think I got chicken tenders or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Grow up.
Yeah. Anyway, I do like the way that Dillingham is just. He's such a convincing salesman. He is.
Yes,
I think
he's really good for this era. Someone should hire him.
I almost wanted Splitstone Duo LLC to put $500 into an Arizona State football player NIL deal. After listening to him talk, it's because why wouldn't we? Are we morons? Are we dumb to not be doing that?
I'd be fine with those ethics. A little shocked you are, but yeah, I'm a dirtbag.
He can sell me anything. So we'll see. Colorado obviously is not having a year. Possible grab bag here. Oklahoma State at UCF for last in the Big 12.
Absolutely not.
For last in the Big 12.
Absolutely not.
What are you doing? What are you doing here,
TCU at Houston. Houston has a chance to win 10 games, and I'm just like kind of waiting to hear more about Sonny Dykes as a hot seat coach. I don't feel like you're hearing much of that just in the rumor mill.
I feel like it's a next year conversation.
Probably, but losing to Houston probably would be inadvisable for him. And there's Baylor at Arizona, which I don't know if you guys noticed, but Brent Brennan might go 9-3 this year, and Noah Fafita is a sneaky Big 12 Player of the Year candidate as well. Interesting for a guy who's been talked about as, is he in over his head? Is he going to get fired?
He is not winning games. Big 12 Player of the Year. God love him.
How many games could Houston finish with? Wins? 10?
10, yeah. I think
with a bowl, they could win 10 games.
Yeah. And probably,
which means
in the regular season.
Yeah, 10-2 plus a bowl. They're probably going to get boxed out of the Big 12 championship. And
yeah, they will.
We're having all these conversations about all these open jobs, and none of you motherfuckers want to hire him.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I say this on every podcast,
wins.
I'm right every time. I was right about Georgia Southern. I was right about Tulane. I was right about Houston. He's so far ahead of schedule. God, I remember doing the damn athlons in April of this year.
They have like the best quarterback in the country committed to them, high school wise.
Guys.
Yep.
Like, fucking look, I'm in no rush to have more boomers in my life, but like, I mean, like, come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What is the bias against this man? We've made a bid on it on this show for years, obviously, but like, he just fucking wins.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not hire him at LSU? Why?
I don't have a great answer.
He's been portaling and recruiting in New Orleans and Houston for the last 6 years.
Something like that.
Okay. All right. I'll get off my box. I'm off my soapbox, but I'm just like, I don't get it.
He's won scheme games against more talented teams. Won a Cotton Bowl against Caleb
remember when he
Williams,
almost
USC?
beat Georgia one year, like in Athens at Georgia Southern? Like, it just, I don't get it at all, y'all. All right, that's fine. Whatever. Yeah. I don't want to turn this into a thing, but like,
thank you.
He is one of the best in the biz.
Thank you for not turning it into a thing. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. SEC SoCon Saturday. What a day. Nokian Tires is encouraging drivers on this SoCon Saturday and on any Saturday, but especially on SoCon Saturday, because you wouldn't want to miss an opportunity to get to one of these games safely. Nokian urging drivers to put first things first this winter, focus on driving safety. For easy steps you can take to make sure that, yes, Richard, your rubber's ready to go. Visit NokianTires.com/first.
Come on, thank you, Godfrey.
You'll find useful tire tips there. Video
I've been here in a minute, but I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Thank you, Godfrey.
And a dealer locator at NokianTires.com/first. Make sure it's ready to go. You have to do it. Also, this is important. Richard and I are very excited to see many of you on Saturday, December 6th. That is Conference Championship Game Saturday in New York City, where we are having an event, a watch along with our friends at Nokian Tires. We are going to have this event at Mason Jar in Manhattan. I'm told it is a great bar. It has been vetted by college football fans in the Big Apple. We're going to have a great time there. We're going to get there about noon.
Vetted by the other guy on this podcast. I've been to Mason Jar a few times. It is usually on Saturdays a South Carolina bar. A lot of bars in Midtown and in Manhattan get a school affiliation. Yeah. Mason Jar is with South Carolina. I recently watched a Knicks game at Mason Jar. Good bar. Have good food too. Good food. Get a little bit of barbecue there. A little bit of Southern flavor.
Y'all are going to be wondering, I know a few people are because they've asked, why haven't you announced the venue yet? Well, we've sort of been waiting because most of the good football watching bars in Manhattan, I'm told, are also a teams bar. And we had to make sure that we would not be crashing a teams bar when they were playing in a conference championship game on Saturday. Fortunately, a South Carolina bar does not create that problem this year. So this will be at Mason Jar in Manhattan on Saturday, December 6th. We're going to be there between around noonish and 5 p.m. We would like you so that we have a rough idea of how many people are going to be there. There will be no cost to enter, of course. It's cash bar standard. We'll have a great time. But so that we have a rough idea of who's going to be there, we are distributing in our show notes, and we will also do this on social media, but look in our show notes, a Resi RSVP link where you can tell us if you're coming. It will help us just get a sense for the numbers. See you very soon. Let's talk about the non-SoCon Saturday games. There are I do want to games.
Yeah, I do want to say, by the way, I want to uphold my own honor here. Last week on last year on SEC SoCon Saturday, they put Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida LSU on SEC SoCon Saturday. Now, Bama played Mercer, A&M played New Mexico State, a top 25 game at the time, Carolina, while they were making their run against Missouri. But then Auburn, Louisiana Monroe, Kentucky, Murray State. So I'm remembering correctly that last year's SoCon Saturday was not as dog ass as this year's is. But
am I misremembering, or was that ULM game, Auburn game, like close? Maybe
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not.
Okay. I remember if you're getting in, or a lot of Auburn fans who are getting in early on Firing Freeze were like, maybe Brian Vincent can do it for us.
Oh, wait. No, hold on. Live radio.
I think it was.
We're going to do that again. we're going to do that again. I looked at the wrong date last year. There was an extra Saturday last year as well. So last year's SoCon Saturday was actually Kentucky, Texas, Bama, Oklahoma, right? Ole Miss, Florida at the time. Ole Miss was going for a playoff bid. A&M and Auburn, Missouri, Mississippi State, the LSU Vanderbilt game where LSU actually only won by a touchdown. And then there were a couple. Georgia played UMass. Tennessee vaporized UTEP. And Carolina played Wofford. So again, worse this year than it was last year. Thank you.
We need to fix this, but I was talking to Alex about this pre-show. Like maybe we should just acknowledge that this is a shittier weekend than it needs to be. But then I forgot, like we're expanding the SEC schedule, and it's not just about the SEC here. And I do think that like we are over time going to have, watch my grammar here, more better Big Ten inventory as some of these programs catch up with the modern era. So I don't know if we'll have quite this shitty a circumstance late into the season in the coming years. I really hope not. This has been an unbalanced year because I remember coming on here on week one and we were like really fired up with like, damn, week one just lines up so well. And there's these great, like the neutrals are all at different times. And like, we've had a couple stellar weeks, but I just feel like it's been a not great year for schedule balance week to week.
There's also rare, and I think that's showing up, funny enough, Godfrey, in like standings, but like there's but like there aren't many 500 SEC teams this year, right? Everybody's like one loss or like one win pretty much.
Yeah.
Usually I would say, yeah, you got to do away with this. And they are probably going to do away with it as they go to 9 conference games.
Right.
But this year in particular, I actually find it very hard to be offended by the fact that this is happening. I think I'm going to think about this Blue Sky post all the time. It was from friend of the program, Victoria Zeller, the other week, who said something to the effect of, every SEC game is playing a ranked team every week in a game that like makes you have to fight for your life. Whereas you look at the Big Ten and like all the good teams are somehow playing Purdue for the 3rd time of the year every week. And
no, she's right. Like
it's actually very true this year. Like I can't do any of that like Northern Valor theft where it's like the 8-game conference schedule and you do SoCon Saturday against a cupcake. I mean, every SEC game this year feels hard, whereas all of the Big Ten's good teams just eat Purdue or Maryland every week.
For all the complaining they've done, if anything, you should be scared now because the SEC is just going to dominate more week-to-week conversations if they keep going like this. Just in terms of game quality.
Yeah. I mean, they are also just going to get 5, maybe 6 teams in. So, congrats.
Yeah, it's hard to see it going below 5.
That's a whole other thing.
And you could see 6. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Florida
forward in the Southeastern Conference. Where did my notes go?
Florida. About Florida, Tennessee, by the way. Tennessee, I take no pleasure in reporting this. I believe it's 10 straight Tennessee has not won in Gainesville.
2003. Ask me why I know that, because I live in Nashville, because it's getting talked about.
I remember 2001. It was actually a formative memory of my football enjoying life. Well, I didn't enjoy it that day, but that kind of spawned me as a fan. And then 2003 happened as well. That was a good old Ron Zook blown lead. But other than that, again, I take no pleasure in reporting this, but it has been 2 decades.
The technical
the streak
term,
could
gentlemen,
almost drink.
The technical term is puckered ass around here in Tennessee, because think about their most recent loss was to Oklahoma. And there was Tennessee
has not beaten a good team all season.
Okay, this is where I'm headed. Their most recent loss was to Oklahoma. And within hours of that game, kind of like in a vol call situation, if you guys remember vol calls, everybody locally is just inundated with like, we got to fire him. We got to fire Heupel right now. And it was weirdly, it's like the first time in 2 or 3 years I've seen shades of like the bad era of Knoxville, just like the madness of incompetence. And then I thought about it. I'm like, they don't have a signature. They don't have something, even with all of the context of this year, with Nico, with Joey being functionable, if not formidable, the way they lost the Georgia game. This is where I'm going.
Best corner out all year. so far.
Yeah. And I go on Nashville radio about once a week in studio with Will Bowling, friend of Wes Bowling, our buddy Wes. He's the brother of Wes, and Ramon Foster, the former Vols offensive lineman, longtime Pittsburgh Steeler. And they are, big time. And they are kind of my mindset, which is like, this just, y'all, everybody needs to be calm. And this could be a really exceptional bridge year, maybe a textbook bridge year in modern college football for the hand you were dealt in the offseason and the way you've acquitted yourself, and then to have a good, solid winning season. Except now, this is where I pause. Going into the next 2 weeks, you have the aforementioned streak, which bothers them tremendously. Like the idea of losing to this woebegone Florida team and Billy Gonzalez, and the swamp becomes, it's like you're hearing footsteps. It's like a horror film, right? For Tennessee fans. It's a really bigger than the standings, bigger than the postseason circumstance deal that Tennessee wins this weekend. Because if they win the next two, and I'll get to the second one in a second, you really have a statement for how well Heupel is recruiting, how well they're developing players. Like they're gonna go into next season in a very, very advantageous position. Or Richard, they lose in the swamp again because they always do, and then they're gonna host a Vanderbilt team that is probably better than them, like objectively better than them,
absolutely,
and then lose to Vanderbilt, which is it's just simply. Regardless of what's going on, that's intolerable. Yeah, there is no permissible circumstance for that if you're a Vols fan. So the swing here is so massive for a franchise. Yeah, they are franchises now. For a team that is so fragile and still really just getting used to normalcy and competency at the highest level. That's kind of where I'm getting at. Like they really got to win this game, y'all. They really got to win this game.
Have not beaten a good team. And even if they win, don't know that this one.
And counts. Florida won't quit.
No, they haven't. And I did, because of what happened in the Kentucky game, I did sort of prisoner of the moment keyword it. But like the fact that Caleb Banks might play in this game.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, Richard. Like,
yeah.
In what circumstance would that I mean, yeah, that to me is it's less an audition and it's more like, no, I want to get out there and do something.
Yeah. Like I think it's really impressive for the culture that he is at least even considering playing in this game.
It's like the Pribula thing at Missouri that we'll talk about when we do that game.
Now I know that obviously there's probably a little money involved, but
gotta get that bonus.
Just to be honest,
gotta get that bonus.
But that combined with last week, like Florida, it matters, and depending on what answers we do or don't have about Lane, you may have a fan base that just thinks it's a free hit, it's free money. Oof, now, look, they're going to have to put that Florida State game on Twitch or some shit next week. But other than that, I think it's in Gainesville. I think that one in Gainesville too. So good games here coming home in the Swamp.
Also in the grab bag portion of SoCon Saturday, Mercer at Auburn. Mercer's a really good FCS team now. Godfrey, they're from your hometown. They
sure are.
Mercer football, as I understand it, not always, not even often that good.
No.
They've had a rebuild the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Under a coach that they hired from Lenore-Rhyne by the name of Mike Jacobs, and they were 11-3 last year, made the quarterfinal. They are going to make the playoffs again this year. They're 9-1. Auburn's going to win this game 90%, but it's actually a possibly prickly FCS game for them.
Also, just want to shout this out real fast. UC Davis and Mercer played in week 0 when we had our live show in Raleigh, and they suspended the game without a result because of weather. And it could have like an incredibly weird playoff impact at the FCS level.
Yeah.
Just to throw it all the way back for a second.
Yep.
Yeah. Mercer's done a really nice job. They have invested in athletics. Let's use a trope alert. They were not like this. Just like as a kid going down to Macon in the summers, like they've also done like a pretty significant like campus beautification and renovation and like downtown Macon, and they're a scrappy little FCS program now. Would take their coach at Georgia Southern tomorrow.
We also haven't really talked about it, but like Kentucky could beat Vanderbilt, by the way.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get there. Yeah, let's talk about that one. Kentucky is better than I thought. I just thought they were going to be so terrible.
Priors have been updated, Godfrey, on Kentucky.
Yeah. Mark Stoops doing it again.
Yeah, he's just annoying as hell. That's like what he lives. No, I'm serious. Like he lives to be like he operates as a troll so effectively. I'm joking, but I'm not. Look at the Florida record.
Yeah,
man, I was really giving Florida State fans some shit after that game.
Mm-hmm.
Diego Pavia is going to have to do something to earn some points in this game. Kentucky's
they've been good on defense. Literally just good on defense last week.
Missouri plays Oklahoma. That's kind of an interesting matchup, actually. It's Ahmad Hardy against a good defensive front. I don't know if R. Mason Thomas is going to play. We'll probably find out later in the week. Sounds like Beau Pribula might play about 3 weeks or a month after he was put in an air cast at Vanderbilt. And I think that's impressive too. The guy who's been there less than a year. His coach is a name for Penn State and SEC jobs and hasn't signed an extension and could definitely be on the way out very soon. And quarterbacks sounds like he's at least trying to suit up. And that would make this game more interesting here. Still be tough. Oklahoma's quarterback has shown that after a long absence with a serious injury, it's hard to just come right back and be good. But
Richard, do you want to contrast real fast the difference between the angst in Oxford and have you seen word one from anyone involved in Columbia about like, all right, Eli, damn it. Like his name has been front and center for Auburn. His name has been front and center for Florida. His name has been front and center for Penn State. Like, it's hilarious to me how different those circumstances are.
Yeah.
That's why you ain't Southern, Missouri. You're something else.
I doubt Missouri's scores here, but we haven't really talked about it, but like, are we taking Oklahoma seriously in January?
Not title winning seriously, but could win a game.
Yeah, they'll win a first round game in some shit weather or whatever, where Brent throws a gem because they had a month to plan for whatever poor sap of an offensive line goes against them. But other than that, like I don't.
Well, they have to win. They have to win 2 games here, and neither of them is a gimme.
Right, but that's the other thing I wanted to say. Like, it's not really a gimme that they'll beat LSU if LSU can cover their receivers.
It's gimme-er. It's gimme-er because sure. that does look much more like a like boys, we're packing it in.
Yeah.
SP Plus says there's a 46% chance that they win both of these games.
Okay. About a half. Yeah, about a half.
It's like a game that you got a 60-something% and a game you got like a 3/4 chance to win. And so if you chart it out week by week, looks great. Longer term, you realize that it is hard and you still have a lot of meat left on the bone.
It is very hard.
Arkansas at Texas. I assume Texas is going to win this one so that we are forced to have the discourse going into the A&M game.
Which
but the main reason is that I just think their defense is going to be a little too much for Arkansas.
I also don't really know how much discourse you can have when Texas goes in there and loses by 3 touchdowns the way that they did. With Texas's third loss is not a good loss. Texas's third loss, they got smoked.
Oh, buddy, I saw every play of that game.
Yeah,
they got worked over.
Yeah. Did you guys go?
Yeah, I was there. I was in the stands.
That's what I meant. I didn't know if you guys actually went in.
No, like it. Yeah. We could talk about Georgia's pregame atmosphere in a second and the glow up because it is extensive.
Right.
But yeah.
All the lights and
everything. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. That Texas team is broken. We call teams broken when their season is done. I was with friend of the program, Georgia is a verb, and I was standing there asking him, I was like, there has to be a sacrificial lamb here on the offensive staff. I'm serious, right?
Yeah, I think it's the offensive line coach. I think it's
right. So I was kicking around and I was like, well, it's not really going to be anyone that's play caller adjacent because then it's just a Sark referendum.
Could be the wide receivers coach too. I mean, they have to redo that offensive staff. Dude, if they don't, I don't know who they have in fancy non-con next year, or if they even have one. But if they start slow next year, it's going to get, again, the return game of Ohio State. Okay. So the return game with Ohio State in Austin, that is going to get so ugly so quick if they lose that game and start slow in September. And if they lose that game and then lose to Oklahoma in the first week of October, that is just going to get unbelievable.
I mean, Kirby basically in the post game did everything but just say oh, there's a bunch of soft bitches.
I soft.
Like, y'all bunch of bitches. Like, you
Which
know
is
how bad he
throwback
wanted to say
Texas.
that.
It's throwback Texas criticism. I thought
I
Sark
know,
fixed
right?
that.
It's like old Mac Brown shit.
Yeah.
So very grab baggy day in the SEC and all over. Makes it a great day for the College Football Blitz, which is free on the Varsity Network app. You can think of it as the college football version of NFL Red Zone. Nonstop action every Saturday from noon to midnight Eastern. Just open the Varsity Network app and search for the College Football Blitz to keep the excitement going. Got a lot of great feedback. Man, Stephen Hartzell running that program does a great job. Saturday in the American Athletic. Richard, your note in this made me giggle.
Oh,
Just call me.
Yeah, with the American, just call me with whoever is in the American Championship game. I don't know. Because like you got everybody's not playing everybody and yada, yada, yada. Just call me.
But also there's the reason why there's a great case for just call me when it's over, though we will talk about the games, is that the American has adopted tiebreakers where Bill Connolly may actually be determining tiebreakers in this conference. They are a league now that does the first they rely on committee rankings, but if not everyone is ranked, then they go to certain computer rankings when head-to-heads don't do it. And that's SP Plus, that's Sports Source, TR 116, SOR, ESPN SOR.
Hang on, I'm going to pull this up because I made this note a week ago, and so it's somewhat outdated. North Texas doesn't play ECU. ECU doesn't play USF. Tulane doesn't play USF. Tulane doesn't play North Texas. Like, it's...
How does that even happen?
It's a total... And somehow when I looked it up, you had UNT, USF, Tulane, ECU, and I didn't include Navy in this. Fucking everybody plays Temple. Like, it just... I don't know what happened. Like, I know you didn't plan for this. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do this to hurt your brand, but like, fucking do better. I mean,
I do wonder
crazy.
if they did this to create an undefeated, but what they have is now too many 2 losses. So it's like
too much mid.
Yes, you got too much mid. And
USF.
the mid that emerges from this league is still the one that's going to be in the playoff.
I think so.
There is a way where it breaks down, and I think that. Well, so I was about to give you the JMU case, but that you really needed Southern Miss to win the West, and maybe boost it that way. It's just that also you needed Louisville to stay relevant because that's the loss for JMU.
Good loss,
and so I don't think it's going to happen. You know, San Diego State got pantsed by a good Hawaii team. This is a long way of saying yes. I think it still is the American. This is not the year.
I agree.
I stump like mad for the G5 because. If anything, like I was telling Georgia fans at the tailgate before Oklahoma won, I was like, be the 5. Be the 5, dude. Don't go to Atlanta. Yeah, rest up.
And host them here and beat the
fucking shit
off them. Yeah.
Beat the shit. And like, I'm serious. Like everyone knows I love G5. It's just, this is not that year. I would like to see North Texas. I think Morris is a rising star. Yeah, Mestamaker. Well, by losses,
they're in the best case, and they've got a pretty favorable situation coming home. They got to beat Rice this week, and they got to beat Temple at home. And Temple is better, but they should still beat them at home.
And Morris Mestamaker is the new like Arbuckle Mateer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
That
might make G5 fans mad again, but like,
the package deal type situation. Yes.
Yeah. So USF plays UAB. USF is going to crush them, despite what we just saw from USF last week.
Yeah.
ECU at UTSA. ECU is still here. I actually wanted to quickly point out something about ECU. Mike Houston got fired on October 20th of 2024. Correct. Since then, the Pirates are 12-4. 1 win off the most in the G5 at that time. Not counting bowl games, just 2 G5s. That's Boise and Jacksonville State have more wins than ECU in this time, and it's just 1 more win in both cases. The only teams that Blake Harrell has lost to are Tulane, Navy, NC State, and BYU. So that's G5 playoff contenders and power conference teams. They have a solid, well-rounded passing game despite losing maybe their most interesting skill guy last year, Chase Soule, to Iowa State. I think it might be happening that ECU is sort of coming back to where they were before they made that misguided Ruffin McNeil firing a decade ago. It's happening quietly, and they're still just kind of on the edge of this race, but they've got it working right now.
I mean, they need money, but yes, they need money. Yeah, I have not been told that financially that's changed, but otherwise, yeah, no, they've done a hell of a job because none of their circumstances have changed financially. I mean, that I know of. So
Tulane and Temple. Tulane is probably in control of its own destiny, though we literally don't know because of some rankings considerations.
Summerall is sandbagging here. Summerall has done the we're not a top 25 team stuff. He's done the we shouldn't be ranked stuff. He's starting that.
Thing is, he could be sincere about it. He could want to get out. I don't know.
Temple, well, honestly, I mean, Temple needs this one or the next one for a bowl. So we're close to bowl Temple.
And North Texas at Rice. North Texas is the team in the best position in this conference and the one that you can feel really good about getting to the conference championship game as it stands right now. Rice has been interesting this year under Scott Abel, but I just don't see it here. Does anyone see it here?
No,
I just think it's too many points.
They could drag this game to hell and make Mestamaker earn it in a way.
Yeah.
Like if you control the tempo of this game and you just say you're getting 7 drives, you better score on 4 of them. There's a path.
Yeah.
There's a path.
Mm-hmm. In the Conference USA race, relevant games, Missouri State at Kennesaw State. Richard, Missouri State is trying to make itself eligible for the conference championship game, as I understand.
It's not going to work, just like it didn't work last time. Who did it last year?
James Madison did it 2 years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, the NCAA is pretty, and I'm fine with it. Like, the rule is the rule. You agreed to do it. It's a rule that's in place for a decent reason to try to prevent moves that shouldn't be made to FBS. So I'm fine with it.
Not that it's stopping anybody, but granted, Delaware and Missouri State have done a great job this year.
Jacksonville State at FIU. Gamecocks are trying to secure another league title berth. Speaking of FCS to FBS moves that actually go well, FIU's trying to bowl in Willie Simmons' first year. Sun Blazers. Nice little revival for them this year. I feel a little bit of optimism about FIU.
Great credit to Charles Kelly and Jack State for doing it.
Way ahead of anybody's projected schedule. Because Rich Rod, he took everything.
All the good players. Except for the running back.
He took the furnishings. He ripped the hot water heater out for when he left that fucker. So
on Saturday in the Mountain West, we mentioned Hawaii and UNLV will have played earlier on Friday. I'm going to just go through these and then you tell me what's interesting to you. We got San Jose State at San Diego State, Colorado State at Boise State, which is still on life support here. New Mexico at Air Force. Lobos have a path. Pound for pound coach of the year, Jason Eck, I would argue. And Utah State at Fresno. Jason Eck, I'm
just cheering on Eck at this point. Yeah. Air Force has got some problems. But no, Eck, like, but there are a lot of great coaching jobs this year. Like, no one in the nation's talking enough about Jake Dickert but like New Mexico was dead. Like we talked about this. No one should blame Bronco for going home, but like they were so dead. And Eck comes in there with an FCS, with a really sort of FCS fixer upper mentality, right? Succeeding in a place like Idaho that had stepped down. It also had a lot of problems. And it's just like, I would love to do a deep dive in the offseason and really kind of look at what they did because, again, no resources, no reason for this to be happening, and it is. So I love that. Love that story. All over that.
Of course, if Liam Zarka doesn't play for Air Force,
they're bad. Yeah.
They are very young, which
they're not good.
That's fair, but yes, they are not good.
But I feel like they've been very young for a minute.
It's the second year in a row. They're statistically less young now than they were last year, but the defense hasn't happened. And so they're continuing to lose.
Yeah.
The Colorado State Boise State game, that's possibly going to be a really sad watch. Boise is leaving the Mountain West on a bad note here. It doesn't seem like Maddox Madsen is going to be ready to go here. Their offense is pitiful at the moment, just pitiful.
Yeah, not good.
And so that's going to be ugly. Fresno State's still around as well. They're hosting Utah State. The Mountain West this year is just such a
Fresno, really good year.
A muddle.
Mm-hmm.
Fresno's had an encouraging first go under Maddox.
Really.
Yeah, they had to change quarterbacks, but it's been encouraging.
I do know, obviously, new league coming, blah, 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 but wondering about Boise. in the near to the medium term.
You talking about coach openings?
No. I'm talking about roster, to be honest with you.
Is Spencer Danielson just an Ashton Genty merchant?
Jesus Christ. If Boise doesn't have the capital to continue its head and shoulders nature above its conference peers, and they come back to the pack, dangerous reality for them.
Dangerous.
It's just going to be what their new reality is too. Is another question to ask.
Yeah.
Saturday in the FCS ranks, where I would actually recommend spending a lot of time this week, not just lip service. There's some very big FCS games going on. Tennessee Tech and UT Martin are going to decide the OVC. Lehigh versus Lafayette in the rivalry is going to decide the Patriot League. It's one of the lightest FBS slates you'll ever see. Strong rec to watch FCS games. I want to highlight two in particular in more detail here. Harvard and Yale. This is for an FCS playoff spot. Something that it's never been before because the Ivy League did not play in the FCS playoffs. Didn't want to do it because of sort of the Ivy League's very Ivy League-ish football shouldn't overtake academics and lifestyle concerns.
Fart.
Yeah. But
now they like money again, so.
But this sounds like a case where Ivy League players on one of those student athlete advisory committee things might have actually wielded some influence. They asked for this change.
Nice.
And I think some of the subtext there is that I think as the Ivy League was cheering on the squashing of the Dartmouth men's basketball union effort, the Ivy League was also pretty happy to have a lower stakes bit of, look how much we're paying attention to the needs of our student athletes. And so the Ivy League is in the playoffs. They also play in tournaments for other NCAA sports, and now they're in the playoffs. And I like a lot about this because this is just an interesting mix this year, the way that it's happened. The Ivy League does co-champions famously. 3 or 4 teams can win the Ivy League in 1 year, and it doesn't matter the head-to-head. It's just if you have the same record, you're co-champions.
To me, though, Alex,
but now they have to do an auto bid, so they have to do tiebreakers for that.
The Ivy League postseason thing was all in football had always been growing more and more ridiculous because they'd been in the basketball tournament for like years now.
Correct. Yeah. It made it hard to argue against. And they've had some good teams where you would think the Ivy League would get pretty deep into the FCS playoffs if they were doing it. This year seems like it's just going to be probably whoever wins this game. They're probably not going to get an at-large bid.
Now we just need to get the SWAC and the MEAC in there, and it's going to be the greatest tournament in America. I would be so excited.
Yeah.
Just think about
Craig. At Harvard at quarterback. Jaden Craig at quarterback for Harvard is honestly like one of the like FCS fringe QB prospects that you will be hearing about in the spring. Don't know if he's got any eligibility left to potentially come up to FBS, but he will be your sort of draft nick fringe darling. Also, Yale's got a tackle, I'm told, who is pretty good, offensive tackle, who's pretty good and will probably be FBS next year if he leaves Yale.
Also, this is a preview. It's going to work out fine for the Ivies this year because there's going to be only 2 teams tied, and you can settle the auto bid with the head-to-head, even if they're co-champs. Because if Yale wins, there's going to be co-champs. Harvard is currently undefeated in the league, Yale with 1 loss. But this would be a preview if there was 3 co-champs of what a mess it's going to be whenever they expand the FBS playoffs and kill conference championship games. Conference championship games being a thing that I've said for years I don't care that much about. College football doesn't need them. It was fine before them. It would be fine after them. But the problem is that now everyone doesn't play everyone, and you're too big even for a divisional structure. So have fun when playoff auto bids and implicitly higher seeding are down to convoluted tiebreakers that you had to work out with your consultants. I mean, people are not going to like that, but I guess it'll just be what it is.
That won't stop them from doing it.
No. The Brawl of the Wild. This is a big one. Big Sky title is on the line here, as it tends to be in this game. Both Montana and Montana State are undefeated in the league. Montana's 11-0 overall, and really seems like the only sincere shot to beat North Dakota State, in my opinion, in FCS this year. Also, for reasons I don't get, they had a bye in week 1, and they're playing 12 weeks in a row right now, and they're just still rolling over teams.
Are they going to get a bye in the tournament? They're going to
not have to play in the first round. Yeah, they'll definitely be. Yeah, they're going to be the number 2 seed.
The battle for Nashville. I'm excited. I'm going.
Oh, is that where the title game is?
Yep.
Yeah, it's at Vandy Stadium, and there's I think a pretty strong consensus it's going to move there for a while. Which
that's a good spot for that game.
I wonder if you put it in the new stadium.
A bunch of rural white fans they'd love to come to Nashville.
Wonder if you put it in the new stadium. But then again, Vanderbilt Stadium as its glow up is actually pretty.
It's not bad, y'all. It's not bad if you get a chance to go. Like it's, I was really impressed. I covered the LSU game, and that's the first time I've been there throughout all of the phases, including when Hawaii almost beat them and ETSU did, and there was just like rubble and one little concrete bunker. But they've really glowed it up. It's going to be I think they won't, Richard, because you can put 35 in there, I think, or 34, right, and it's packed and loud because the noise stays. Also, they up the volume of the foghorn. I can hear it like all through my neighborhood.
Montana, if they can win this game and do what I think they're going to do, would make for a really great FCS title game with North Dakota State. They got to get there. They're scoring 42 a game. Eli Gilman, the running back, is a dominant force. And they got a quarterback, Keely Ayat, who is a program legacy guy. His dad was an All-American there, almost won a Manatee in the 90s, and he has become a huge star for them this year. I would like the Grizz here over the Bobcats. I just think they're in a tier with North Dakota State and nobody else. In the Big Ten, little grab bag, Rutgers, Ohio State. Guess what'll happen there? Michigan, Maryland. Guess what'll happen there? Nebraska at Penn State. I will pull out one thing, which is Emmett Johnson for Nebraska is a great late season story on a team that has made some strides this year and is kind of literally limping to the finish with a backup quarterback. I was shocked to learn this. In their last game against UCLA, he became the first Nebraska guy ever to have a 100-100 receiving rushing yardage game, which was shocking to me for a program that has had Mike Rozier and Amon Green and heck, Amir Abdullah. But that's the facts. It had somehow never happened before at Nebraska. Okay. He leads the nation in all-purpose yardage. He's probably going to be a first-team All-American next to Jeremiah Love.
Part of the inventory problem here is illustrated by this game that we've talked about. I'm serious. It's Raiola getting hurt and Nebraska being par, let's say, and then obviously the Penn State implosion.
Well, this is sort of what happened last year too, right? Like Michigan wasn't that good. And so like, you've got two and you got a fringe third, Penn State last year. But then, until Thanksgiving weekend, Michigan hadn't really shown up to the dance. So yes, you kind of have that same problem too, now that Penn State's not any good and season's is effectively over.
Yeah.
The big one in the Big Ten, last game before we will go to the main course presented by Modelo, is USC at Oregon. Godfrey, are you buying USC after what USC did against Iowa last week? You're still not?
No. I buy Iowa in limited quantities. It was fun that they brought the weather. No, because I think Oregon's in a desperate state for. I think there's a little bit of playoff anxiety. Only they need like the best win. They need their best win, and this could be it late in the season that USC has enough shine for them. I've also been kind of an Oregon believer all season, despite like you play the games in front of you. It's not your fault. You got was Penn State third in the country when they won that game?
I think they were second.
Okay.
Second.
Right. You go to Happy Valley, you do the thing, you do it in overtime. And then, you scheduled with intent, as we said, right? You kept the in-state rivalry, which we all asked you to do, and they suck ass. And then you scheduled Oklahoma State at a conference and they suck ass at a historical level for that program. So, but all this is to say that it doesn't really matter when you get down to the battle of the, like that mid-tier and playoff consideration. I think you really, really, I think they have, I don't say they have to win out, but like it gets sketchy if they start falling into consideration with the 2 and 3 loss teams. So I like them. I still think all season we're probably a year early on whatever USC might be. If Lincoln's there, you never know.
You sure never know.
So no, I like Oregon here as the superior program.
Imagine telling yourself 6.5 weeks ago, as Penn State was about to play Oregon, that James Franklin would be the head coach of Virginia Tech on November 18th or 19th.
Just
what a world.
How much that game doesn't matter now.
Unbelievable. Stephen Godfrey, great to have you. We are going to bring on a West Coast specialist for the main course.
Another one?
Modelo.
Christ.
Talk about this game in a little bit more detail.
It's the main course presented by Modelo. We thank Modelo for the fine sponsorship of this segment of our show. And we thank Paolo Uggetti of ESPN joining us as the West Coast expert. I am now probably for the first time outnumbered West to East Coast on the show, I think.
What's up, guys?
You're going to be a vegan by the end of this episode.
Yeah. I do want to try Paolo. Next time I'm out there, by the way, we got to do the Erewhon thing. I want to give it a try.
Yeah. There's one close to me to where I live now. It's a whole scene. You're going to hate it, but then you're going to try something there and you're going to be like, yeah, this is not bad.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. For $18 a smoothie, it better hit.
It's worth it.
I ain't doing it.
You've never done it.
I have taken guests to Erewhon and not gotten anything myself. I don't need to pay that kind of money for a smoothie.
We're going to go and we're going to put it on the company. How about that?
Okay.
It's the corporate raiders that we are.
I'm not sure we should admit to that in a public forum. Our accountant might not be happy about that. But let's talk about this football game. USC is visiting Oregon. Paolo, you're getting ready to get on a plane and go cover this game in Eugene. You have covered both of these programs in person a lot. I feel like you're on a plane to Eugene every 3 weeks for the last 2 college football seasons, and you're covering most USC home games as well. Right now, do you feel like USC has, in fact, turned some kind of corner based on what we saw with Iowa last week? Or do you need to see more?
Yeah, there's such a confusing team to me because I feel like I've been around pretty much the whole Lincoln Riley tenure, and this is the one year that I haven't been around as much, partly because they've kind of been something that I feel like the program hasn't been in a while, which is not terrible and not great. They're just kind of middling right now. I'm
not interesting either.
Exactly. Really. Not extremely interesting, which honestly might be a good thing for them. I think they've thrived off of sort of being under the radar. I mean, yesterday, Monday, Lincoln Riley said something to the effect of this excitement about game day. It's all those people didn't think we were going to be good this year. And now they're wanting to kind of make this an exciting game and we're not going to listen to them. So I think they're leaning into that sort of persona a little bit. They're a confusing team to me because I don't feel like they've looked particularly impressive this season, but they've also done all the little things right that they've had to. Aside from the Illinois game, which, maybe we can talk about that, but they've kind of they've done the things right this season that they didn't do last season. I think they were 2-5 in 1-score games last year. They're 2-1 in 1-score games this year. So they've improved. And so I guess in that sense, I think they've turned some kind of a corner. I mean, I think Lincoln's obviously talking about this as being such a kind of a culture win against Iowa, which in some ways it is, but I still need to see it against a better opponent to be like, okay, now you belong in this kind of top echelon of team, which Oregon has obviously been there for a few years now.
Dan Lanning has had, since he got to Oregon, a bit of a rotating cast of old veteran transfer quarterbacks who have come in there and done numbers for a minute and then moved on. And Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel both got Heisman finalist nods and significant national accolades, even as a lot of people who watch the sport week to week were kind of questioning how much of that was Will Stein, the coordinator, how much were those really prime future star quarterbacks, and Bo's making it work in the NFL. But the contrast I'm drawing is with Dante Moore, who has had, I think, a lot less national hype this year, but guys like Richard, who really watch the quarterback position closely and love to project how serious, how honorable a quarterback's going to be for the long term, are really enamored with Dante Moore. You don't hear a lot of complaints that, this is Mickey Mouse, that he's just an RPO merchant who is surviving on the coattails of his coordinator, and that Oregon might actually have a proper big-time program-changing quarterback. Yeah? No?
I think it's still, I agree. I mean, he was a highly touted recruit. We have to kind of start there, right? I mean, he was a 5-star. You can't get around that, right? Whereas some of the other guys, they kind of came in as more like Band-Aids, if you will, to let's just bring them in and especially with Dylan Gabriel for one season. But I think Dante's perhaps more talented than those guys, but it's still, to me, the fact that, when I talked to Will Stein last year about the quarterback position, he was very adamant about how he views it as a way to sort of, it is a system, obviously, but he looks at the quarterback specifically and it's how can we make this guy the most successful version of him in our system, right? And he's, I guess, malleable, would you say, to that. So I think they've done just enough because he's been impressive. He's obviously made some impressive throws, but he hasn't been the focal point of the offense, I would say. I mean, I don't know. I think the running game has been really strong for them, which has helped, right? I think it's had to be, right?
One thing you do have to say is that it is impressive how Oregon has navigated all of this without Kenyon Sadiq for stretches. DeCorian Moore will have not played for a month, whether he plays or not on Saturday. Gary Bryant Jr. has been hurt. Obviously, Evan Stewart didn't even play this year. So they have been through a lot. They had to play without their starting right tackle against Iowa. So they have navigated that effectively, and I think that's impressive.
Yeah, and I think that's where you do have to give credit to Dante Moore for being able to manage all of that, right? Like, I mean, who knows what this offense would look like if he had all those, weapons more consistently, right? So I was very curious to see how he would do because he had a year to just kind of sit back and watch, and it feels like this final stretch and potentially the playoffs, this is where we're going to see, okay, where's his ceiling at? Where can he actually take this team going forward?
Paolo, Lincoln Riley's future at USC has been a significant topic of conversation last handful of weeks, including on our show. I've been a little surprised to hear Riley's name. Well, not surprised because it's Lincoln Riley and he's already pulled off one of the most shocking moves of all time, but I haven't exactly been expecting to hear a lot of this about Lincoln Riley this year, because I think USC has worked pretty hard to give him a lot of what he wants, and they've got a very serious recruiting class coming in next year. You went to USC, you have covered this program in person for Lincoln's entire tenure. I'm just curious from your perspective, 10 toes down at practices, being around this team, what you feel the level of simpatico is right now between Lincoln Riley and his employer and his entire situation at USC.
Yeah, it's so funny because when he came in, he was, kind of hailed as this sort of like, wow, we got him, right? And then they did well with Caleb Williams there, and everybody was in love with him. And then it quickly turned last year, right? And it felt like they were not quite vibing along, if you will. It's such a results-based industry, obviously, that you see how I don't think there's so much difference between last year's team and this year's team, but because they have the record that they have, it seems like the favors kind of turned back toward him. But I just have a hard time seeing him start over somewhere else. I mean, never say never. He did what he did going from Oklahoma to here, but I just have a hard time seeing him start over. And I think that to your point, they've given him so many resources, whether that's the brand new facility that's going to be opening up soon. That's crazy. And the recruiting class, getting a GM from Notre Dame. And I think there's so much investment that it would shock me if I were to see him, look elsewhere. I think that it's funny. I think I saw somebody tweet about this or post about it. This is like the Lincoln Riley tenure has been so unique that you could take the result of this upcoming game against Oregon and basically use it to make whatever conclusion you want about Lincoln Riley. Basically, like if they lose and it's like he's the wrong guy or whatever, and then if they win, it's like, well, he was the right guy all along. It feels silly to put so much weight on this one game, but it does kind of feel like the contrast of like, well, Oregon's kind of owned the West for the last few years, and now USC is trying to kind of get that back. If he is able to go into Eugene and pull it off, then I think it will be a lot of confirmation bias one way or the other, basically.
We do want to say thank you, by the way. This is the main course presented by Modelo. We thank Modelo for their sponsorship of this program. This college football season, as you've probably seen on TV, the Modelo Recruiter is scouting for full-time fans all over the sport, and they've made Richard and me the general managers of this particular part of the program. So if you're listening, you've been recruited. Are you a take? Is your offer committable? These are questions that we have to answer for ourselves, and it depends. We hope that you can grab yourself a Modelo, the official beer sponsor of the College Football Playoff, which is relevant for this game because if USC can win, all they're going to have to do in order to make the playoff is beat UCLA the next week. Actually, Paolo, you and I were talking about this offline. USC winning this game would create a really weird playoff logjam. Oregon would be on track to finish 10-2 as well if they beat Washington the next week. I think conventionally the wisdom has been a 10-2 SEC or a 10-2 Big Ten team makes the playoff, but 10-2 Oregon would have a problem, which is that they'd have to be behind 10-2 USC. And there's a possibility of a whole bunch of SEC teams with this, with the same record, or maybe even a 9-3 Texas that's beaten a couple of 10-2 teams being involved. I'm wondering, because you just mentioned how big a deal this game is for narratively the way that USC is seen. If Oregon loses this game, there's a real chance that Oregon is missing the playoff with one of the most expensive rosters in college football.
I'd love to hear Richard's take on this because we talked, like you said, we talked about the soft line. It's kind of a chaotic scenario. I feel like if Michigan somehow beats Ohio State, which, very possible, I guess, then it gets really interesting because there's a bunch of teams theoretically at 10-2. then it's like, which Big Ten team do you leave out? Do they all make it? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know that. So, okay. So if we go through again, and we're doing the show before the rankings actually come out for this week's rankings. So we don't know how they're all going to fall, but we're pretty sure how things are going to fall. So, looking at it right now, you'd have the question is, what are we doing about 10-2 Oregon / USC with 10-2 Notre Dame? That, I think, is a very intriguing question to me, considering USC obviously lost to Notre Dame. So maybe that would knock them out of the mix a little bit. And then you're probably going to have an Oklahoma team sitting there, maybe with 2 losses, if they can survive unscathed. And Vanderbilt, and then the Big 12 title game loser, if it is BYU with 2 losses after the Big 12 title game. The logjam of 2 lost teams, and we haven't even really mentioned many SEC teams, haven't really mentioned Miami, haven't really mentioned a potential Georgia Tech team. Like, you've got how that all falls is going to be very interesting, especially if Georgia Tech were to win out and fall at the 11 ranking and the 11 seed. That would actually be pretty interesting how all that shakes out.
Yeah, it could get crazy. I don't see the commit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of like USC legacy, or sort of, kind of the shine that the program has. I have a hard time seeing the committee leaving out a 10-2 USC out of the playoff, but we'll see, I guess. I mean, first they have to win this game, but it's going to be. The Notre Dame thing is a good point, because I feel like you could also argue that's a quote unquote quality loss, right? It's like, what are we doing?
And I think they would argue it's a very, very good quality loss because of what they say about Notre Dame.
Paolo, a lot of people are apparently pretty interested in USC for this game. They're a 10-point underdog, but they opened at 14.5. That suggests that people are buying a little bit of what USC saw in this game. You're about to get on a plane, go to Eugene, cover this thing. What are you buying or selling about this game?
I think UC has a good chance in it. I don't know what it is about the way that they've gone here. It doesn't feel quite impressive, but also impressive in its own way. I think the fact that Indiana beat Oregon at Autzen kind of goes a long way to sort of I guess, like, diffuse the notion that Oregon's unbeatable at home, which it had been up until that point. I think USC kind of has a blueprint, right? I mean, their offense is obviously really good. Jaden Mayava, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, they've been incredible all season. And on defense, they're not as good. Obviously, they're more inconsistent, but they have enough playmakers.
But they're not as bad as they've been. It's not the same. It's not your older brother's USC defense.
Yeah, it's like the bar is low, but they have cleared it this year somehow. And they have enough playmakers there. They've, forced enough turnovers that in some ways, some of the games that defense has really kept them in it. So I could see that being the case in this game. Especially with Oregon missing a few wide receivers, they'll be able to. I don't know if they'll need to like muddy the game up, but because their offense is it works better when they're it's going faster and more up tempo. But it'll be. I think it could be close. I think I'm buying that USC has a chance in this game for sure.
My big fear about it is that USC, even in beating Iowa, didn't exactly rein in an Iowa run game that's been pretty good. Not nearly as explosive as Oregon's, obviously, but that has run the ball pretty well this year. And they did so in the slop at the Coliseum the other day. I'm just a little concerned that we're going to see Noah Whittington running for a very high number of yards in this one. And if USC can find a way in the defensive front to stop that from happening, I'm there. I'm believing we're turning it back to 04. USC to the playoff.
Wow. Interesting.
But that's an if, and I don't feel strongly enough about it to actually say that I would pick USC. I would pick Oregon in this game because I am worried about them not being able to stop the run. If they can, shit changes in a hurry for me.
I think I'm going to pick Oregon, but I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, shootout, vintage Pac-12 vibes, the way we all used to love it, know it and love it. And I do think Oregon, in the end, wins out. But yeah, spread inside 10 absolutely would take USC to cover on as an underdog.
Watch out for the field goal kickers in this game. USC has probably one of the best field goal kickers in college football, Ryan Sayuri, and he's been kind of automatic. And then with Oregon, obviously, Alex Stappington had the game-winning kick, but he's been a little more, I think, inconsistent. So if it comes down to a field goal, like I would give USC kind of the edge there on special teams a little bit.
Noted.
Yeah. Also, Oregon in the return game, even on kickoffs this year, had a little bit going special teams wise. That's been a benefit for them. I love games that get tilted by special teams. Paolo Ugete from ESPN. Paolo, thanks for chiming in, outnumbering Richard West Coast to East Coast. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. Let's get a round of golf in soon.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. That's the main course presented by Modelo. That is our show. We will see you on Sunday.